Dennis here, Capital Training and Tuning. Have you guys ever had any experience of dealing with thrush? If you live in an area of the country where there's a good deal of moisture, more than likely you have. And these horses came in this morning, and they were described as having a minor lameness, but they weren't sure, and they suspect that they have thrush, but they're not sure. So I thought I'd just pick this horse up, pick this foot up, and right here I need to get involved because she's chasing me out of the barn here right now. She braced on me with her rib. She's looking off to the left, and if I just ignore that, it took quite a bit to get her off of me. She just leaned on me. When it comes to picking up those feet, if I ignore that, then I'm setting the stage for me to pick that foot up and have a wrestling match down there. But since I've addressed it, now I'll go pick the foot up. First thing I'm going to do is touch her. She seems to be fine. I'm gonna go ahead and reach for that foot, even though she's tied up. If she gives me any indication that she's going to use that lead rope as an excuse to not let me deal with that foot, then I'll untie her and do it loose. But I think since I've addressed how she braced on me with the hip first, that I won't have any problems. So just go down here, pick that foot up. It's full of dirt here, so I won't be able to see unless I get it cleaned out. Pulling on me a little bit here. I'm gonna just wait. Okay. That frog appears to me today to be healthy. I mean, the central sulcus is open, it's fairly wide, and it has a hard bottom. That's one indication right there that things are pretty healthy. When the frog has had adequate contact with the ground, the back part of the frog will be wide. This frog is longer and narrower than it needs to be, but it's not bad. The heels are slightly a bit forward of where the frog and the heels meet. So perhaps now that she's come through that, I'm going to go ahead and pick the foot back up and leave her tied for a moment. I might have to untie her to address it, but she got tied on that lead rope, and she used that as an excuse to brace and pull back. So I didn't reward her for it. I let her wear that. She pulled back, girl, knock yourself out. If you want to pull on that lead rope and hold her, pull on it. I don't care. You ain't gaining anything. But I have her tied high enough here so that it brings the front end up and the hind end comes under. And when that happens, then generally they will step forward. She's not afraid. She is in a new environment. She's not afraid. She just was testing right there, in my opinion. And that was a test that she failed at first. And then she came through and found an answer that will serve her much better than getting tight and her eyes wide open and thinking that she can escape on the other side. So in my opinion, that's where the benefit of tying a horse up and tying them a lot and tying them solid is a very beneficial thing. So let's go back to look at this foot. And See if we can see. Okay, so as of today, everything appears to be pretty healthy in that foot. There's not a lot of excess hoof wall. The sole appears to be in good shape. The sole is fairly deep, and I can tell that by the depth from the frog to the sole here. And when that's flat across right there, you know you don't have any sole at all. So this horse has got some sole that should be ample to protect her. You know, it looks like that maybe previously, you know, a few weeks ago, maybe that this frog was in a lot of perhaps moisture. More than likely, I think the biggest cause of thrush is a horse standing in their manure, standing in urine, stalls that are damp. That's the biggest place to get that kind of a bacteria growing in there. It's an anaerobic bacteria. So if they're turned outside and they can run outside and they don't have that place to go stand in the moisture, you probably won't have to deal with it. But when they've got a place they can go and that foot will collect that moisture in there, and especially if there's any urine in there. I think urine is one of the bigger detriments to a foot. So, but you know, I didn't see anything wrong with this particular foot. I'm going to change sides here with her now. Now, I'm not going to get up in that trap there. You know, when the hip is over this way and I'm along a wall, if she did pull, I couldn't get away from her. So I'm going to move that hip over just a little bit. Yeah, let her come forward here. A horse that won't move from you and is quietly saying, "I don't believe you. You don't. I don't respect you." So by raising my energy up right there and getting that horse to move that hip over just a little bit, we've had a nice change of attitude, preferably here, one that you know, it will be a little more agreeable to get along with. Let's see what we got here. Now this frog is atrophied. This is the aftermath of a thrush condition. That frog has either been trimmed off or sloughed off, and in this area of the foot, we're real close to sensitive tissue. So if that foot is packed full of dirt, and the horse steps on and puts pressure on that area, you could possibly see some discomfort show up in the horse. But you know, this is the end product of thrush. It's dry right now, so it's on the mend, but it needs some time. It needs to have adequate contact with the ground and needs to be able to return to its normal function. It's supposed to be there as a internal structure support. Well, it can't support the internal structures of the foot if it's not having contact with the ground. And and the absence of contact with the ground in this case is what has produced the atrophy. Uh, you know, it's just right now. It doesn't mean that this horse is going to stay this way. That foot will change from one trimming, one shoeing to the next. So, you know, you just read it at the moment. At the moment, that's what I see. I see a frog that is thin. I see a frog that is atrophied. It's longer than it is wide by far. The central sulcus was closed and narrow, and it did not have a hard bottom. So these are indications that this particular frog on this foot could benefit from doing a lot of traveling in a sandy arena. You know, clean that foot out and then put the horse to work in that environment. Believe it or not, snow is real healthy for this kind of a condition. Myself, when I don't have access to sand or snow, I used tea tree oil as an aid to help the horse through that situation. That's a drying agent, and it will also deal with the infection. So I don't see anything terribly wrong, just that this frog has been missing that ground contact, that grinding that keeps a frog healthy. Way back in the late 80s, when I still had color in my mustache, my wife told me about this tea tree oil and how beneficial it was to use for things like what I'm going to use it for on this horse. I'm going to use it for thrush here. Thrush, it'll work for thrush prevention, and as well as after they've got it, they can get rid of it. One guy told me that if you put a little bit of this on your tongue, you can start a cold engine with your breath. It's pretty wicked smelling stuff, but it's good. So anyway, so we'll clean this out again, and then get that out of there, and then we'll just dab a little bit. And that's pretty much the treatment. And I mean, that's not going to immediately fix it, but it'll set the stage so that frog can heal naturally. And really, I think movement is the best healer that this particular horse is going to have.